Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Ryan Samuel Show, where we cut through the noise, dissect the headlines, and expose the truth that the mainstream media would rather sweep under the rug. Tonight, we're diving into two explosive stories that have dominated the chatter over the weekend. And believe me, they are not disconnected as they might seem on the surface. First up, the bizarre and deeply unsettling case of Connor Gardner Weston, a 27-year-old Ohio man who's been thrusting himself into the spotlight as a self-proclaimed anti-contact, non-offending pedophile. That's right. And then we have the massive, quote, No Kings rallies that erupted across the nation just 2 days ago on October 18th. Drawing millions to the streets in a unified cry against what protesters call authoritarian overreach. But here's the kicker. These two narratives are linked by an insidious thread. The left's ongoing effort to rebrand pedophiles as, quote, minor attractive children or minor attracted people, end quote, or MAPs, MAPs, in a calculated move to normalize and destigmatize something that should never, ever be softened for society's consumption. Let's unpack Connor Gardner Weston first, because this guy's story is a perfect storm of controversy, self-promotion, and outright danger. Weston, who hails from Dayton, Ohio, has built a significant online presence on platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where he openly discusses his attractions to minors while empathetically stating he's never acted on them and has no intention to. In one of his viral videos, he declares, quote, I'm an anti-contact, non-offending pedophile. I'm fundamentally against adult-minor relationship because I know that they are harmful, end quote. On the surface, it might sound like he's advocating for restraint and seeking help, but critics aren't buying it. They've accused him of using his platform to normalize pedophilia, turning a dangerous proclivity into a personal brand. And things escalated dramatically just days ago on Friday, October 17th, when Weston showed up at the Wiki Conference North American 2025 in New York City Civic Hall. This wasn't some quiet appearance. He stormed the stage during the opening ceremony, draped in a multicolored minor attracted person flag, wearing a sign around his neck proclaiming himself as a, quote, anti-contact, non-offending pedophile, quote, and pulled out a loaded revolver. He pointed it at his own head, then at the ceiling, and announced his intent to harm himself, shouting something along the lines of, quote, I'm a non-contact pedophile. I want to unalive myself, end quote. Chaos erupted. Attendees panicked. Multiple calls to 911 poured in, and event ground staff took a halt. Thankfully, quick-thinking heroes stepped in before it turned tragic. Two conference safety team members, Richard Nipple and Andrew Lee, rushed him. Nipple with a bear hug from behind, Lee prying the gun away and setting it down safely. No shots fired, no injuries, but the damage was done. Friday's programming was canceled, though the conference resumed the next day. Mariana Iskander, CEO of Wikimedia Foundation, later thanked them for, quote, saving my life, unquote. NYPD came in, arrested Weston, and took him for medical and psychiatric evaluation before booking him on charges of criminal possession and reckless endangerment. This isn't Weston's first rodeo. In the public eye, he's been active in forums like Virtuous Pedophiles, pushing the, quote, non-offending, unquote, narrative, and his X account has raised eyebrows with interactions involving lowly. That's content that depicts children in anime form and sexualizes young girls. He's also framed himself as part of the MAP community, advocating for destigmatizing to supposedly encouraging therapy and prevention. But this stunt, it's a public spectacle that blurs the lines between personal crisis and activism. And Wikipedia's own policies ban editors who identify as pedophilias to protect the platform. Now, let's shift gears over to the, quote, No Kings rallies, which turned out to be one of the largest protest movements we've seen in years. On October 18th, 2025, more than, allegedly, 7 million people flooded the streets in over 2,700 events across all 50 states. Washington, D.C., and even in international cities, all united under the banner of, quote, America has no kings. Organized by groups like NoKings.org and backed by progressive powerhouses such as NYCLU and Reproductive Freedom for All. These demonstrations were a direct shot at President Trump, accusing his administration of authoritarian excesses, corruption, eroding democratic norms. From Father Duffy Square in New York City to rallies in Kansas City, Missouri, and Los Angeles, crowds chanted against perceived power grabs, waving signs that decreed everything from executive overreach to threats against reproductive rights. Protesters shared personal stories. One woman spoke of feeling a, quote, monarchy in disguise, unquote. While others highlighted policy rollbacks as evidence of tyranny, it was billed as peaceful, nonviolent stand for democracy, drawing comparisons to past movements like the Women's March or Black Lives Matter. But amid the sea of signs and speeches, there's an undercurrent of selective outrage that ties right back to Weston and the map debate. You see, many of the same left-leaning activists, academics, and organizations fueling these No Kings events are the very ones pushing the narratives that we should swap out the word pedophile for minor attracted person. Why? Well, they claim it's about reducing stigma to encourage non-offenders to seek help and prevent harm. The term MAP originated in online pro-pedophilia communities nearly 30 years ago, but has seeped into academic circles, with researchers arguing it's a more neutral way to discuss attractions without implying criminality. Take the 2021 case of the Old Dominion University professor who published a book on, quote, minor attracted people and faced such intense backlash that they resigned amid calls for their dismissal. Or look at groups like Before You Act, which compares pedophilia to homosexuality, suggesting that MAPs face similar, quote, oppression and need affirmation to live their dignified lives. We've seen this language creeping into educational materials, high school lessons, introducing MAPs as an orientation, leaving parents furious and demanding accountability. Critics argue this is a deliberate rebranding by the left to make pedophilia more acceptable, drawing parallels to how other marginalized groups gained rights. But let's be real, this isn't about therapy or prevention. It's about blurring the lines and eroding societal safeguards. The hypocrisy is glaring, and it ties everything together like a noose. While these protesters scream "No Kings" to dismantle authority they oppose, targeting Trump as a would-be monarch, they're simultaneously working to elevate predators by giving them a cuddly acronym. Connor Weston embodies this, parading his MAP identity online, building a following, and now making headlines with a dangerous weapon stunt at a conference. All while the cultural left's machinery hums in the background, advocating for terms that soften the blow. If we're truly committed to protecting the vulnerable, why rename something as vile as pedophilia? Why not call it out for what it is and focus on real prevention? The No Kings crowd rails against power imbalances in government, yet turns a blind eye, or worse, enables the ultimate power imbalance, adults preying on children, rebranded as attractions. Weston's incident happened just a day before the rallies kicked off. Coincidence? Maybe. But it underscores the chaos when we start to normalize the abnormal. Tonight, we'll break it all down. A deeper look at Weston's online empire and his arrest, exclusive insights from rally attendees and organizers, and expert takes on how this MAP push is infiltrating schools, policies, and even law enforcement discussions. We'll hear from voices on both sides of the aisle, and make no mistake, this is about accountability and acceptance. Stick around because the Ryan Samuels Show is pulling no punches, and we're just getting started. We'll be right back.
Hey, Ryan. Hi, this is Sarah Palin.
Ryan, Donald Trump Jr.
Hogs to win, see you. Hey, everybody, I want y'all to check out a fellow Marines podcast.
My name is Ted Nugent, and I got a call from my buddy Ryan F. Samuels, and he wants me to tell you that he's a working hard, playing all-American son of a who is celebrating God, family, country.
Welcome to the Ryan Samuels Show, one of the top political podcasts in the United States, where we have a healthy distrust for government and mainstream media. The Ryan Samuels Show is a raw, unfiltered look at American politics. Follow on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, and all podcast platforms. Here is your host, Ryan Samuels.
All right. So, this lunatic that swarmed this this conference in New York City has some serious problems. There's an old video of him that's surfacing. Okay. Where he's basically he's just talking about how he's a pedophile, right? And let's just listen to it.
My name is Connor Gardner Weston. I'm 27 years old and live in Dayton, Ohio. I am an anti-contact, non-offending pedophile. I am fundamentally against adult-minor relationships because I know that they are harmful. I don't have any urges that I need control, just like how most straight men don't have the urge to rape every woman they meet. Pedophilia is not a choice. I can choose not to harm minors, but I can't choose to stop being attracted to them. My name is Connor Gardner Weston.
Well, if you're attracted to them, you're going to want to act on that, right? Because let's face it, if you're attracted to if I'm attracted to a pretty woman, I'm not going to feel guilt about my attraction because it's natural. That's how I feel. There's something that doesn't make sense with this argument. You know, this is something that is not, it's not defensible. Now, you call yourself a non-acting person who's attracted to children. Okay, great. You haven't acted. Are you seeking help for yourself? Are you going to therapy? It would appear that he's not, because he's defending his attraction. See, that's the game. That's what the left is trying to do with this, with pedophilia. They're trying to make it more acceptable. Here is I guess she's a therapist. Let's listen to this. This is mind-boggling.
I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and sex therapist in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I want to talk about minor attracted persons because they are probably the most vilified population of folks in our culture.
Correct. And they should be. They should be. Hey, Tom, welcome on. Hey, Kat, thanks for being here. Yeah, they are. They're vilified. Correct. They should be vilified. Why would we not vilify them? Why would we accept them? It's unacceptable.
You may have noticed that I'm using the term minor attracted persons, sometimes abbreviated to MAPS, instead of the more commonly used term pedophile. And I'm doing this because the term pedophile has moved from being a diagnostic label to being a judgmental, hurtful insult that we hurl at people in order to harm them or slander them.
Kind of like you guys, the left does with Donald Trump, calls him a pedophile. Kind of like that. But there's a fundamental difference. An actual pedophile is a piece of crap who deserves everything that they get. I mean, it's so bad that even our prison system will not accept it. The hardest criminals of all time will kill you if you're a chomo in prison. So Joe Rogan talked about this on his podcast. This has kind of been coming for a while. But we're not covering it enough on the right side of the aisle. We're not, like, we cover trans stuff more than we cover the pedophilia stuff. Let's listen to this.
It's so crazy that we've always protected children from influence. We've always protected children from bad decisions. That's why you can't get a tattoo.
No,
before
they
you're
have to
18
go
years
after the
old.
kids. They have
Correct.
to. Because they're soft targets. You're 100% right, but they're after childhood innocence. They say that too. There are papers against childhood innocence, saying that it's a social construct meant to protect some kids and not others, and meant to preserve normalcy and white heteronormativity and all of this other crap.
That's why the term minor attracted persons freaks me the fuck out.
Yeah.
When you're trying to normalize pedophilia, you're trying to normalize people who want to fuck kids. That's crazy. And by the way, it's almost always men. Like you are empowering the creepiest of creeps.
The creepy creeps.
The monsters of the male species. The ones, if you want to talk about men, like men being toxic, the most toxic.
Yeah.
You're empowering
like the 0.01%.
the evil ones, the ones infected by demons.
Yeah.
That want them to go fuck kids. You're empowering them by telling them that it's an identity.
Yeah, totally agree. It's insane. And this is happening in our schools. Like they're teaching this to children. Children are getting yelled at in schools for calling people pedophiles. Teachers are yelling at them. Watch this ABC News report.
Stephanie, the firing comes days after a video recorded by a student went viral last week. The teacher can be heard saying pedophiles should be called MAPs, or minor attracted persons. Take a look.
Stop calling them that. You're not allowed to label people like that.
What?
Stop it, Diego.
Yeah, no,
We're not going to call them that. We're going to call them MAPs, minor attracted persons.
No.
So don't judge people just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old.
That's the full video that went.
Don't judge people because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old. Yeah, yes, I'm going to judge people that want to have sex with a 5-year-old. Period. End of discussion. Full stop. We're done talking. I'm going to judge you.
Viral. Ever since it began circulating on social media, people claiming to be students in that classroom came to the teacher's defense. Many wrote the conversation was taken out of context, and instead it was a strategy used for teaching to discuss the subject matter of The Crucible, a book about the Salem witch trials, which is a required reading for many high school level English classes. ABC7 spoke with some Franklin High School students.
I think, yes, they should fire her, but all the hate that she's getting, I feel bad for her at the same time because it ruined her career. I think it was just like...
Shut up, idiot. Kids are idiots. You ruined your own career. You ruined your own career. But this scholars are coming to this conclusion. Here is a scholar, I guess, that is making the argument that pedophiles should be accepted by society. Literally. Let's listen.
Most of us feel discomfort when we think about pedophiles.
Correct. It's very uncomfortable because it's very unnatural. And it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. Ever.
But just like pedophiles, we are not responsible for our feelings. We do not choose them. But we are responsible for our actions. And we must make a decision. It is in our responsibility to reflect and to overcome our negative feelings about pedophiles and to treat them with the same respect we treat other people with. We should accept that pedophiles are people who have not chosen their sexuality and who, unlike most of us, will never be able to live it out freely if they want to lead an upright life. We should accept that pedophilia is a sexual preference.
Yes, from an emotional point of view, I can kind of understand that you would want to eliminate these people from society. However, it doesn't make sense. And that's because we're talking about biology. We're talking about a sexual orientation, something that we simply cannot change. And on top of that,
you can change it.
Every day, new people are born with the same difficulty. So it's not practical to eliminate these people from society. They haven't done anything wrong.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. I'm attracted to women. That means I want to have sex with them. I'm married now. I'm very attracted to my wife, and I want to have sex with my wife all the fucking time. Excuse my language. But it's you cannot accept that sort of behavior. You cannot make that normal. You're not going to be able to make that normal. And contrary to what the left wants to say about sexual orientation, because they want it to be permanent. If there was this famous, oh man, I'm trying to remember her name. She was like this famous poster child who was a lesbian, right, in college, and she was this famous feminist. And then she met her husband, got married, and had kids, and loves being a woman, and now is like a stay-at-home mom. And the left friggin' ostracized her because they spent so much time and effort to say that you can't, you're born this way and you can't change it. That's not true. I don't believe that. I've never believed that. I think homosexuality is completely different than pedophilia. Obviously, two consenting adults can do whatever the heck they want to do. But does that make it natural or correct in the order of nature? My argument would be no. Do I think it should be criminalized or ostracized? My argument would also be no. But for years, there were people who had homosexual thoughts and desires and then got married and had kids and no longer had that because it was a phase or just an idea they had when they were younger and they grew out of it or whatever, or they didn't, right? So it's not a permanent fixture of who you are or how you feel, because in the eyes of nature, you're attracted to somebody of the opposite sex for procreation, for the species to continue on. But the left can't have that because they want it to be permanent, and they want to lock you there and keep you in the box and use you as a puppet and use you as a figure, as a political tool and a political weapon against the other side. That's why they want you, and they're going to program you to believe things that just aren't true, and they're going to have scientists come out and say it and support it. But this is what the left has become. The left has become so tolerant that they want to invite people over to their house who molest children or have desires to molest children. Pedophilia is one of the most egregious acts that you can do in society. It's rarely accepted anywhere, except in some parts of maybe the Middle East or in Muhammad's time. But the left just keeps digging themselves a bigger hole and a deeper grave. And this No Kings protest is just the most insane and ironic thing that I've ever heard of. If you had a king, he wouldn't permit you to have a protest that says no kings. The king would not allow you to go out on the streets and protest you. That's not how it would work. The king would stop it. And if Donald Trump is such a king, why does everything he do get stopped by a federal court who overrules him? So the notion that Donald Trump is a king is insane. There was a time when the United States almost had a king, and that king was George Washington. And do you know who wanted him to be a king? The Federalists. John Adams. Alexander Hamilton. They wanted this guy to be a king. John Adams spent years trying to get it passed in the Congress and the Senate to have George Washington's title be His Excellency or His Profound Supreme Leader, all these regal titles that George Washington could not stand. And that's why we call the president today Mr. President. That's it. That's what John Adams tried. George Washington lost his mind and said it's going to be Mr. President and only Mr. President. That's it. And then he resigned after 2 terms, which set the precedent for John Adams, the second president, to do the same. But, well, and continue on. John Adams lost against Thomas Jefferson over the Alien and Sedition Acts because he was a tyrant. But anyway, that's a different conversation. So we wanted a king. And do you know who wanted the king? The big government people, the Democrats of the time, wanted kings. They wanted George Washington to be a king. And listen to just how they treat this person, this conservative, at this rally. I think this is Nick Sorter.
My God!
Wait, what'd you say?
What'd you say? Black and you're MAGA.
This is a black guy who's a MAGA guy, and they're ridiculing him because of the color of his skin.
I can't be black and MAGA? Worse. I can't be black and MAGA. You can't sweat skin because there'll be a lot of blacks who are rolling with the Republicans. So I can't be black and MAGA. Oh, you can be black and MAGA. You're a fucking sellout. Oh. You're a sellout.
A sellout to who? Who's he a sellout to? Black people? Who are you to say that? This is a white guy, by the way, for the people on the podcast. It's just a middle-aged white male. The person the left hates the most.
I'm a sellout. I'm a piece of shit. I can't.
Calling him a piece of shit because he's black. And MAGA. He's black.
An opinion. Absolute. I can't have my own opinion. You are really. It's worse. You would expect that shit from me being white, but you hate yourself so much. Oh my! You have so much self-hate that it's sad. Hopefully you'll come around.
You said shame on him?
Shame on him.
Really? Why do you feel the need to lecture him as a black man? I mean, you're telling him.
Right. You fucking hate your own skin color. How? Do you think that Trump people like you? A lot of them. Oh, they hate you. They're using you. You exist. People like you. Are you using white privilege to try to lecture a black man? Is that what's going on right now? Oh, is that what's going on? Are you using white privilege to lecture a black man? I use my white privilege to help other people. But lecturing a black man, that's a different opinion, right? That's a different opinion, right? So lecture.
What do you mean chill? He walked up to him and then scolded him for being black.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
That's exactly what happened because he's a black MAGA.
He's saying shame on him because he's black and wearing a MAGA hat. That's why he came up to him. That's not what happened? Okay.
And that is what happened.
You walked through the crowd at the waterfront.
Yeah, so I was trying to find the pro-MAGA crowd because, to show support with them and stand with them. And I got caught up in the anti-crowd, and I was walking through them. It was very interesting. A lot of dirty looks, a lot of negative comments. But other than that, I didn't engage in any, shit talking. I just kept going, kept walking because, I'm outnumbered. There's only hundreds of people in the crowd. I'm by myself. This black man, that's dark skinned, with the MAGA hat, with the Trump bandana, and with a Trump 2024 shirt. So you best believe that when I was in that crowd, I just, just minding my own business and just kept walking. But other than that, I'm in support of Donald Trump. God bless our president. God bless our ICE officers, and God bless America. And to all the patriots that are watching this, God bless you, and let's make this country great again, man.
You're the man.
Yeah. That's the tolerant left right there. So allegedly, there were millions of people, and ABC posted this, and then it got community noted. And I love the community notes on Twitter or X, formerly known as Twitter, because what it does is anybody can put a community note on there. Oh, Wendy Cooley's here. Hey, Wendy. Sounds like more Trump propaganda. Wendy, I'm so glad you're here. I see you in my comments every day and how triggered you are. And I know how much shit you like to talk. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to send you an invite right now on Facebook. And all you have to do is click it. And you can come on this show and we can have a live discussion right now. You versus me live on the air. And I want to see how much shit you'll be able to talk then in front of tens and thousands of people right now. That's what I want to see. So all you have to do, Wendy, is click on it. I'm happy you're here. I'm more than happy to debate you. But you never seem to want to come on the air. So go ahead. I just sent it. And we'll see if she requests coming on. Be nice to her. She's just speaking her opinion. But MSNBC posted a video showing millions of people.
Look at this. Millions of people across the country marching as we speak against the policies of President Trump. This is Boston. Look at that.
Boston.
We'll continue to follow these rallies throughout the day here on MSNBC.
There's one problem with this. That this is not Boston now for the No Kings rally. This is a video from 2017 in Boston. And then they attach this is the community note, and then they attach the link to the community notes where you can see the original video. So MSNBC doctored video to present to the world that this was somehow or some way something completely different than what it actually was. When you're intentionally misleading people, you're not a news organization. You're propaganda. Here is Donald Trump was asked about the No Kings protest. Here is his response.
Over the weekend, the No Kings protest.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country.
Correct.
And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Mr. President, besides San Francisco...
And by the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
I love the last time they had a No Kings protest, and he posted, I really am grateful for all the No Kings protests. I woke up and thought I would be replaced, but it turns out I'm still your president. Oh, God. Donald. Love it. And then Donald, I got to mute this because I'm going to get flagged for a copyright if I don't. But here is Donald Trump and the video that he posted of a fighter jet with him in it with a crown flying over the protests and dropping poop on everybody. The president of the United States posted this, and it is so good and it is so funny, and he really knows just how to really get the people going. Wendy, I noticed that you just left like you always do and didn't want to come on the show and have a discussion, but thank you anyway. I appreciate your comment. Tom, that's why I no longer watch network news. Yeah, Tom. I mean, man, network news is basically dead. Nobody trusts it. Nobody's watching it. Everybody's listening to podcasts or listening to the independent media. And that is a great thing. That is what the founding fathers originally intended, was for independent small journalists like Benjamin Franklin. Guys who had local newspapers who were writing stories and breaking news. That's what it was all about, not these giant conglomerates. It was about, this is a modern day version of that. I'm just a guy with a microphone in a studio, solo, not being paid to say certain things or have to say certain things because I'm sponsored by a certain product. So it turns out these protesters don't know what the heck they're doing. They don't even know why they're there. So like the protesters, a ton of conservative podcasters and social media influencers flocked to the protests and asked people what they were protesting. Kat says, I think they can protest all they want, a non-existent situation. At least they were peaceful. That is very true. I'm glad that they were peaceful.
We're out here at the No Kings protest, and we're asking all the important questions.
Such as, if Trump was elected, how exactly is he a king?
Because he is trying to take control of everything. Like, his checks and balances are not working. So he is just trying to completely disregard the Constitution.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of amendments have been kind of overcome, like in a way that they're not supposed to be. Wait, which amendments specifically? The whole
first one.
Yeah, the first one.
Trying to take away our
freedom of protesting.
I would say that it's because even though he was elected, I agree, due process, he got what he got elected fairly, sure, but he's doing things that make him a king, like he's taking away, civil rights.
That's a great question. I don't particularly think he's a king. It's how people are viewing him as.
Actively switching the levers of power in order to subvert elections.
And what does that mean?
Things such as trouble coming up with words.
They have no idea what the hell they're doing out there. They literally have no clue what they're doing. Now, protests are funded. Like 99% of the time, protests are funded. They're funded by groups and organizations that have interests in putting political pressure on politicians. That's typically how it works. If you've ever seen the movie House of Cards, it's pretty accurate as to how Washington works. There's one scene in House of Cards where the head of the teachers union, the National Teachers Union, was trying to get a bill passed that would give teachers more time off or more money or whatever, and he wasn't getting his way, so he hired protesters to show up at an event that one of the congressmen was having, and he literally paid people, and they gave them signs that they made and said, hold this sign, and it's organized, it's paid for, it's protests, like that's what they do, and then they try to pressure the president, and then they have news organizations saying, hey, listen, there's 7 million people here, and then everybody in the world is like, oh, wow, there's so many people there. Trump must be doing something wrong. And then it's just, it's a friggin' dog and pony show. It's a dog and pony show. That's why these idiots don't know what the hell they're doing out there. Sure, are 100% of them getting paid? No. Are some of them getting paid? Yeah. Yeah. Here's a Fox News clip of Jesse Waters asking the same question.
Joining me now, TPUSA Frontlines reporter Savannah Hernandez. All right, Savannah, you were there on Saturday. What did you pick up on?
So, Jesse, there were two different factions of protesters. We had the one faction who had no idea why they were there, no idea why they were protesting. They were simply programmed by CNN or whatever liberal mainstream media they've been listening to, and they were there. You had the other faction of protesters who were there to call for political violence against their opposition. So I read signs reading, all Nazis go to hell. And of course, it was MAGA supporters and it was ICE that were depicted as said Nazis. You also had a woman holding a sign depicting a guillotine with a single MAGA hat on the bottom. So very clear that these people were either unaware why they were marching, or they were marching on behalf of illegal immigrants and domestic terrorist organization Antifa. Another thing that I witnessed was people holding up signs with AOC, Bernie Sanders, Zohran Mamdani, and Gavin Newsom's face with big, bold letters reading Antifa. So I don't know if they were trying to tell the truth about the Democratic Party or if they're trying to water down what Antifa truly is, which is a violent domestic terrorist organization. Yes. So that's what I saw on the ground. Another thing too, Jesse, which I thought was really interesting, is initially in New York, That's where I was. You had thousands of people that were there. So yes, there was quite a large crowd. But then as soon as 1-2 hours passed by, the entire crowd completely dissipated, kind of like they were off the clock and they all just disappeared. It was really baffling to me because I have covered protests extensively for years at this point, and I have never seen a protest dissipate this fast.
That's interesting. Maybe they were on the clock. Usually these things kind of organically dissipate, but that is very strange. We know they weren't going to watch the football game. We could definitely tell by the looks of them. Savannah, great reporting. As always, keep up the great work. Portland looks like Gaza. Straight ahead.
Was it? I think possibly. Was it a fact? I don't know. I don't know. But I do know that a lot of protests are organized and they're bought and paid for. That's for sure. 100% for sure. And I know that there wasn't violence, like there wasn't tearing down cities and burning them down, but there was people with violent rhetoric, as you're always going to see from the left side of the aisle. You just watch this. Watch this video.
Members. Whatever his name was.
Charlie Kirk, ma'am?
Yeah, him is horrible. Horrible.
Charlie Kirk is horrible?
Yes, I'm glad he's not here.
You're glad he's dead?
Yes.
Why would you say something like that, ma'am?
Because he was horrible on the campuses, the college campuses. Horrible person.
You know what? I do the exact same thing.
Well,
would you be glad if I would die?
Maybe. I'd have to think about it.
What, if she would die?
I don't know.
Excuse me?
No, I don't know you, but I didn't know him either. But he was not a good person.
He would go to college campuses.
And
she has no clue what the hell she's talking about. All she has is what she's been propagandized with. This woman, I guarantee, has never seen a single video of Charlie Kirk. She only knows what she's heard. And she's saying she's glad he's dead. And then talking about no kings. So you don't want a tyrant, but you want to be a tyrant. You want your political adversaries executed for speaking, just for speaking.
He would go to think he got shot because he wasn't a good person.
I do the exact same thing that he does.
Well, I believe
I believe, and he is a moderate compared to me. You would be happy if I got shot on a public college campus?
Okay, no, baby, no.
You have got to watch the things you say, because what you just did, that's disgusting.
Don't point your finger.
Don't point my finger at her, ma'am. You have got to watch the things you say. That is awful, ma'am. And I don't believe that you actually mean that. I think your feelings are heightened right now.
I don't mean it, but he was a horrible person.
How is he a horrible person?
Because what he was doing to our students, what he was promoting was horrible.
What was he promoting?
Right. Yeah, I'm done with you.
What was he promoting, ma'am?
You're done with her. She's pointing a finger in your face. And
Yes, you're a horrible person yourself. And point your finger in my face and coming to this peaceful demonstration. Why would you, and put it in my face.
Go down the road here.
I am utterly speechless right now. Let this be proof right now. These people are not peaceful. Just because they're not actually committing physical acts of violence right now, they would celebrate if you died. If you believe even a modicum of what Charlie Kirk believed in, if you have dialogue like that, if you want to go out there and talk to people about any issue that they even want to bring to you to talk about, they'll celebrate your death. Right here, we see it at the No Kings protest. That is disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You know what?
As you can see, this is what a little conservative girl has to have with her to have a dialogue with liberal.
Bunch of security just to go talk to people. What's supposed to be a peaceful protest. Is it really peaceful if they're celebrating somebody's death? I don't know, but that's what you're getting. Here is Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake was on Real America's Voice today, and here's what she had to say about the No Kings rally. It's just like a joke at this point. It's not even, it's just funny.
Your thoughts on the No Kings protest? Are they dying down? Are they going to have more of these nonsense rallies over the country?
Well, I'm just speaking on my personal capacity, and I agree with President Trump. He does work his butt off every day for the good of this country. We've seen things turn around, places where people were struggling when it came to the economy, when it came to the invasion at our border. We've seen all of this turn around really quickly because he is working hard. So he is not a king. He is just an incredible president, probably the best in our country's history. But I did actually see some of the protests because I'm living here in Washington, D.C., and I had to walk down near the mall and had to kind of walk through some of it, and it was there was nothing cool about it. It was, I agree, I think this is kind of the last generation, a lot of older people, the boomers. It's the last generation of people who actually, I think, still believe what the TV tells them. They still believe, you know, in the news and the New York Times and 60 Minutes and all of that. They have been brainwashed so badly over the years, and they just haven't kind of woken up from that. But then I also think there's an element, and you mentioned it, and so did President Trump, where there's the rent-a-mob, the rent-a-rioter, the rent-a-protester that comes with it, and that's through some of these NGOs and other potentially Soros-funded outlets out there. You could see the organization when I was walking by. There was a tent where they were signing people up to get involved in other events and other things. So I think there could be other events like it, but it was very underwhelming compared to what we've seen in the past. Extremely underwhelming. A lot of weird people there, a lot of strange things that we saw. We saw one woman just walking nude through the crowd. I think it was a woman. I couldn't really tell. And just bizarre behavior by a lot of people.
Why would you be naked? That I don't get. That doesn't make any sense to me. Here is Chip Roy talking about the Chicago teacher. Actually, I'm going to play that video first. There is a teacher in Chicago who, at the rally, I probably don't have the video saved. I thought I saved it. Who was pointing at her neck when a van full of people came by with a Charlie Kirk flag. There, she was pointing at her neck. Hey, Miss Betty, I'm 70 and don't believe the TV. That's because you were wise, Miss Betty. That's because you were wise. All right, let's watch this.
They weaponized the government against the American people. And now they want to turn around and say they're going to have a No Kings rally? This is the dying breath of a bankrupt party, in my humble opinion. All too happy to shut down the government and then have a Chicago teacher walk around with this symbol against her neck. Somebody tell me how that's appropriate. Where are the Democrats that are crying out about how horrific that was? And by the way, where are the Democrats who are calling out the Attorney General in Virginia for calling on the death of children of a political opponent? Where is Abigail Spanberger, one of our former colleagues running for governor of Virginia? Do they not have the courage to call out fellow Democrats for that absurdity? The truth is, we have a president. We don't have a king. We have a president who loves our country, who rightly said yesterday that he's working his ass off to make this country great. He is correct. Brokering peace deals in the Middle East, rebuilding our military, rooting out DEI and critical race theory, declaring cartels as terrorist organizations, focusing on Antifa, defunding the World Health Organization, getting us out of UNRWA, making sure that we target the Southern Poverty Law Center, who are, going after people like our friends at the Family Research Council or ultimately Charlie Kirk, securing the border, passing the Lake and Riley Act. These are the things the American people want us to do, not shutting down the government for political rallies. And the truth is, the Marxists, the radicals, and the Islamists, the Democratic Party promoted this weekend. They cannot handle the truth. The truth is that there is a king, and that king is Jesus. Yes. And the president has been willing to say it. His administration has been willing to say it. And Charlie Kirk was willing to say it, and he got killed for it. Democrats.
There is only one Jesus, and he's the only king. It's like they're possessed. I really believe that. Here's Finnerty live. Let's check this out.
These people had absolutely no idea what they were protesting this weekend. And the president was asked about that on.
Like, just look at this. Like, these are professionally made signs. Trump must go now. These are professionally made. Like, somebody didn't make that to go to a rally. Somebody was given that to hold. And they're matching. These are all matching signs.
This weekend. And the president was asked about that.
This is New York City, and it's a petty little. There's like 30 people there.
That on Sunday.
I think it's a joke. I looked at the people. They're not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. I'm not a king. I work my off to make our country great. That's all it is.
Donald Trump then posted a video of him flying a U.S. fighter jet over these protests, dumping what we can only assume to be crap or human excrement on these protesters. People were offended by that video, and we understand why you'd be offended, but that was the point. Be offended, because you got dressed up on a Saturday morning, painted a sign, and then went out to a protest to protest a man who was elected by a majority of Americans in an election that happened less than a year ago. He wasn't crowned. He wasn't anointed. He won an election, and they think he's a king. Again, they know Trump bad. They know they don't like Trump, but that's about as far as they've thought about all of this, because most of these people are being told what to think. They
Correct.
are being brainwashed into believing that Donald Trump is a king by the people they trust the most in the media.
Yes. And that's the problem, is that they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're talking about. All they know is they're supposed to feel a certain way, and they're empowered to go protest, to go out and speak and go fight for the people who need help, to go out and fight for the weak, to go out and support the party of loving care and affection, and to do the right thing. And then when they get confronted, they're complete friggin' idiots, and they don't even know why they're there. They're just talking out of their ass. Here's a clip of this guy, just this podcaster. I've seen him before. He's actually pretty good. And he just asks, like, he finds a lady with a sign that says "No More Kings." This is in Philadelphia. This is outside of City Hall. I've been there. I stay at the Ritz right across the street all the time. It's a great hotel. It's far from the. It's not that far from the historic district, which is one of the greatest places in the country, where the Declaration of Independence was debated and signed. It's all right there. Yeah, but he's just asking her basic questions. Listen.
So what brings you out today?
No King's Day.
No King's Day. Okay, that's a good answer, right? I think that's a pretty good answer.
And why specifically are you out supporting No King's Day?
I think protest is important.
Why are you protesting?
Protest is important. Okay. That's not really the best answer. But and then he asks, why are you protesting?
How much time do you have?
Couple minutes. And what's the main reason you're out here protesting President Trump?
I agree with a lot of the decisions that are being made.
Is there any decision in particular you disagree with?
Okay, so I would start with
Anything?
Well, I don't even think it's appropriate for me to have this interview.
Why not? Because you can't answer the friggin' question? Is that it? Is that it? You don't know. You literally just don't have any answer to why you're there. And this is indicative of the left side of the aisle. And I personally deal with this all the time on this show. Like Wendy earlier, she won't come on and debate me because she doesn't have anything to say. But she'll just drop things in the comments like every day. She posts probably on my page alone, she posts probably 30 comments a day. I mean, how many other people is she posting things to? And it's just talking points. And then I will respond. I try to respond to comments. If you respond to me, I do typically will comment back to you, whether you agree with me or disagree with me. And if you disagree with me, I will argue with you in the comments. I do it all day. My wife's always like, put your phone down. I'm like, no, this lib needs to learn a lesson. But she never has anything wise to say. Just a lot of laughing emojis, never anything of substance. Just memes she found somewhere else and posts on my post about Donald Trump. And that's just how the left is. They've chosen their side, and they're going to ride that wave until the end of time, until they die. And they don't care no matter how much logic or you put in your rhetoric, they're never going to admit that they're wrong. They're never going to admit that they're wrong. And they're never going to take a step back and reevaluate themselves. They're never going to research any of the opposing view because they don't want an opposing view because this is their identity. It's a cult. It's their identity. I identify as a Democrat. I align my life and my beliefs and my morals to the Democratic Party. I'm never going to change that. That's how these people are. Even when the Minnesota lawmakers were shooting, and the left had came out and said, "Oh, this is a far right extremist. This is Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband when they got killed, and then they had injured John Hoffman, and it was apparently over this dude and abortions. But it turns out that this guy had no Kings flyers in his car. Right? Just watch it. This is from when the shooting happened in Minnesota.
Are there reasons to believe that these events were also targeted by the person in the manifesto in the car? We don't have any direct links. However, there were some flyers that said no Kings within the suspect vehicle. And as we know, the planned events throughout the state of Minnesota today is a no Kings event.
And so the reference materials that were inside of the vehicle that we saw, we have no understanding that any of the no Kings events would be targeted, but we also find it of interest.
He has no Kings flyers in his car because he's a left-wing extremist who killed Minnesota lawmakers.
To the public that these would be in there, and we want to alert everybody until we do that. Because this is such an active investigation with information not knowing right now, we feel it's an obligation to all of you and the public across the state of Minnesota to alert you of it, and that's why the Colonel...
Yada, 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 yada. Now, how susceptible are these people to the left, right? Or to even to propaganda itself, to the news media. The news media successfully brought these people out to hold signs about things they don't even know what the heck they're talking about. They literally have no idea. Now, when the same news media tells these, we call them useful idiots because they're useful. When you tell these useful idiots that we're no longer calling them pedophiles, we're calling them minor attractive persons because it's a stigma of pedophiles, and pedophilia is just a sexual orientation. It's just like homosexuality. It's something you're born with, and we need to accept that and allow them in our society. These are the type of susceptible people who will fall for that nonsense. If you're dumb enough to hold a sign that says no to Kings and you can't answer a basic question about why you're standing there or what policy or anything that Donald Trump has done for you to believe that he is a king, then I don't know what the hell to tell you. You're susceptible enough to fall for an idiotic statement, an idiotic correlation between homosexuality and pedophilia. Homosexuality is between two consenting adults, right? Or it could be between an adult and a child, but in general, homosexuality is between two consenting adults. The accepted form of homosexuality is between two consenting adults, not between a grown man and a young boy. That would be homosexuality. But then we accept that. And the reason we accept that as a society is because it's between two consenting adults, and you're free to do whatever you want in a free country. I may not agree with it. I may think it's right and moral under the eyes of God. That's me personally. I don't. But we as a society are not going to stop it because they have free will to do whatever they want. You don't have free will to rape a kid. And we're going to call them pedophiles. We're not going to call them minor attractive children. We're not going to change it and try to soften the blow. It's something that's not going to happen. But the lunatic left will push this and push this and push this until they dig their own grave. But the No Kings protest was just a complete popcorn fart. It was nothing. There was not millions of people there. The news was posting old videos, not even new ones. They couldn't even get any updated clips of the new areas in where people were protesting. Like they didn't even have any decent videos of people protesting. So that is the show. Don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Go to ryanfsamuels.com right now. /shop. Check out the shop. Get this cool hat, cool shirts, cool gear all over the place. Got dozens and dozens of products for you to look at. Use promo code Samuels for 10% off all of your purchases. Check out our blog. We're writing articles just about every day. There's hundreds of them on there now. Sign up for the newsletter and get up-to-date information daily in the now. Get alerts on your phone when we drop a new episode, anything like that. Thank you all for your support. The podcast is freaking booming. And Germany is the number 2 country again. Germany, Spain, and Singapore are fighting for that number 1 spot. Thank you. God bless you. God bless our troops. And God bless the United States of America. We will see you tomorrow night.
Thanks for tuning in to The Ryan Samuels Show. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.